If you are an international student in Australia right now and you've been Googling, how do I stay after I graduate at 2 a.m., this video is for you. Because here's the truth, most students have no idea about how the pathway actually works. They hear get sponsored, but they don't know what visa to aim for, what steps to take, and in what order. So today I'm gonna explain the full pathway from international student to 482 work visa in the simplest way possible. No confusion, just my strategy. But first, let's make it clear. I am not your migration agent who's trying to sell you any visas. I used to be an international student feeling lost, but now I'm on my way to permanent residency through 482 visa, an employer sponsorship visa. So I'm sharing my real experience to you, and many international students out there have a clearer vision of getting PR and building your dream life in Australia. Disclaimer: this video is not to be used as migration or legal advice. Please always check with your migration agent before making any decisions. Everything I'm gonna share with you in this videos all based on my real experience. And stay to the end because I'm gonna share with you something that could save you thousands of dollars and years of your life. And I'm Kylie, let me walk you through it. So let's set the scene. You are on a student visa, subclass 500. You came here to study, but let's be real. A big part of why you are here is because you want to build something big. You want to build a career, a life, or maybe permanent residency one day. But right now, you feel like you're on a timer. Your visa has an expiry date and the clock is ticking. And you don't know what move to make next. And of course, I get it. I used to be an international student who felt lost. That uncertainty is one of the hardest things of being an international student. But here's what I need you to understand. There is a pathway. It's not a lottery. It is a strategy. And once you see it clearly, you start making decisions with confidence instead of panic. Let me walk you through it step by step. So this is the full pathway to go from international student to PR through visa 482. There are 4 steps. From international student to 485 visa to 482 and then 186. And I'm gonna break it down step by step very carefully and in detail, so stay tuned. You are here, student visa subclass 500. This is where you're at right now. You are studying, maybe working some part-time job and trying to figure things out. What you need to know at this stage is what you study matters. Your course, your field, your skills, they are not just about getting a degree. They positioning you for what comes next. So, look at the skills in demand list. That's the government's list of occupation that Australia actually needs. There are 2 situations that you might be at the moment. Situation 1. Your qualification aligns with something on that list. It means that you are already ahead. Situation 2. If it doesn't, don't panic. But you should start thinking strategically now, because clarity at this stage saves you years later. So let's say if you have a plan to stay, work, and build a life in Australia, you have to think about getting a job in that occupation list so that in the future you might receive some sponsorship offer. Let's take me as an example. I studied business management before with an intention of being sponsored as a cafe or restaurant manager, but along the way, that occupation got removed from the skills in demand list, which meant I potentially wouldn't be sponsored to stay in Australia anymore. So I decided to pivot. I switched my course to patisserie, something that was on the occupation list and potentially be eligible for visa 482. So my plan was simple. I need a qualification that allows me to get sponsored under that occupation in the future. And in my head, I was like, okay, I will do the qualification first, and then I will seek sponsorships and employers later. And I was successful. My boss offered to sponsor me after a few months, once he knew that I was eligible for that position. and potentially staying and work full-time for him in the future. I have a video where I talk about my journey in detail, about when I received that offer, how I switched courses from business to patisserie. You can find that video in the description below. That's why I always say in my other videos, prepare for yourself first. Prepare from your side so that you can be ready for any opportunities that come along the way. That was my mindset and my strategy. I will put the link to the occupation list in the description below. You can go there, have a look, do your own research, and you can see if your course is on that list and if my strategy works for you. Step 2. After you graduate, you apply for a graduate visa subclass 485. Once you finish your course, most students apply for visa 485, graduate visa. This is your bridge. It gives you the right to stay and work full-time in Australia after you graduate. Depending on your qualifications, you get between 2 to 4 years on this visa. This is not holiday time. This is your window. This is the phase where you need to be building your real skills, real experience, and real professional relationships. Because everything you do on Visa 485 is setting up for your next move. So let's say that you are in situation 2. You already have a qualification that is on the skills in demand list. Use the most of your 2 years on Visa 485 to find job under exactly the same occupation to gain experience, work hours on paper, and on pay slips. The migration department will look at this when you apply for Visa 482. Again, let's take myself as an example. I wanted to be sponsored under the occupation pastry cook via Visa 482 and employer sponsorship. So earlier in stage 1, I focused on finishing my qualification in patisserie. Now let's say I'm on Visa 485. I'll be looking for the job under the same occupation with the title pastry cook, and I have to work at least 19 hours per week. Why are we doing all this? Because to apply for Visa 482, you're required to have relevant experience, work under the same occupation, and you have to have at least 1 year full-time or 2 year part-time working in that occupation. That means either 38 hours per week for 1 year or 19 hours per week for 2 years. So when your Visa 485 expired, you are eligible for 482. If during those 2 years under Visa 485 and you haven't gained any work experience or any hours on paper, meaning that you don't have any evidence to show that you've been working under that occupation, then your qualification alone basically can't do anything. Think of it this way. Your Visa 485 is the runway, and the plane it has to take off before the runway ends. So please use the most of your 2 years under Visa 485 to gain experience in your occupation, gain hours on paper, on pay slips. It will help you in the future. Step 3, the big move, Visa 482. Skills in demand visa. So what is this visa? Simple. It is an employer-sponsored work visa. That means a company in Australia says, we need this person. But because they don't have the right to stay in Australia long term, so that we want to sponsor them to stay here and work for us in Australia. So here's what you need to qualify. First, you need a genuine job offer from an approved sponsor in a role that matches your skills and your qualifications. Next, your occupation needs to be on the skills in demand list. I've mentioned this in step 1. 3. You need at least 1 year of relevant work experience, as I mentioned in step 2. 4. Your sponsor has to offer you a salary. I will put a number here. That's the core skill income threshold. And last, you need a skill assessment and English test result. So everything I mentioned in step 2 might have seemed vague before, but now it makes sense, right? Your careful preparations will make you stand out among other international students. You need to fulfill every of the conditions that I just mentioned to be eligible for Visa 482. As I said, without work experience, your qualification alone means nothing. Imagine the day that your employer offers to sponsor you, but you don't meet one of those conditions. It means your door to Australian permanent residency just shuts. So once again, you have to prepare everything in advance and you have to be ready for any opportunities that comes along the way. And the last step, the destination, permanent residency via Visa 186. Once you've been on the skills in demand list, working full-time for your sponsor under Visa 482 for 2 years, you can apply for the permanent residency through the subclass 186 visa, the transition stream. 2 years, full-time with your sponsor. That's it. And your work experience is now portable, meaning if you change employers, your time can still count as long as they are approved sponsors. Let me say this again because it is so important. You are not trapped with one employer. That is a myth. You have options. You just need to understand the rules. That's why I always say do your own research. Don't listen to anyone, even your migration agent. The Australian government provides migration information publicly, so always double check the information that you receive with the official government website. So please, take the full control of your life, babe. Don't rely on anyone. Don't rely on your migration agent. No one is as reliable as you are. So the full pathway looks like this: student visa to graduate visa to skills in demand visa and permanent residency. 4 steps, that's it. It's not easy, but it can be simple if you have a clear strategy. I've been through a lot of hardships along the way. So that's why I created something for you. I created a PR Readiness Checklist for international students in Australia. In that checklist, it includes every bullet points that you need to look at: your work experience, your occupation, your visas, your English requirements, and more. Follow this checklist carefully from the start to the end to assess whether you are on the right track to Australian PR. Once you have clarity on what you need to work on, you can think more strategically, you can make wiser decisions, and you can create your own realistic pathway towards Australian permanent residency, Australian PR. This checklist is what I wish that I had 3 years ago to make my pathway clearer and avoid wasting time and money. I put the link in the description below. It's completely free. Just fill in your email and I will send it straight to your inbox. So that's it. That was the simple explanation of Visa 482 of how to go from international student to permanent residency. But personally, I did one thing differently from most 482 candidates. Just one trick that helped me shorten up 2 years of the pathway. This video is already pretty long, so maybe I'll share that in the next video. And I promise you, no one on YouTube talks about this trick, and even migration agencies, they rarely mention it. Stay tuned, I will see you in the next video. If this video brought you some value, you can consider subscribing and giving me a like. It means a lot to me, and it's how I can continue producing more and more valuable contents like this to our international students community. Alright, I'm Kylie, and as always, I love you guys. See ya!